Can working out just 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week, really be impactful for muscle maintenance? What I'm about to share with you may surprise you. Yes, actually, in fact, doing simply 10 minutes of resistance training 3 times a week, as long as you are also eating adequate protein, can be enough to help you maintain your muscle mass. I'm Dr. Alice Mina. I'm a board certified dermatologist, and welcome to my channel, The Skin Real, where I give people real information about their skin health so that they can make informed and educated decisions. If this sounds good, let's dive in. This is my weekly recap episode where I break down my key takeaways from my most recent podcast interview. This week, I had the pleasure of hosting triple board certified obesity medicine doctor, Dr. Ali Novitsky. And I heard her give a talk recently, and it really just blew my mind. I loved her approach to exercise and weight loss because it was very attainable. It was not complex. It was not all these crazy things and supplements I had to buy and complex exercise regimens. It was actually really, really practical. And that's what I think people need in this day and age. We know we have a problem here in the US with obesity. And even in children, it's really crazy. And so we have this epidemic. And then we have millions of people, it feels like, telling us, here's the secret. Here's how you lose weight. Follow this diet, follow these exercise routine, take these supplements. And it's really, really overwhelming. So when I heard Dr. Ali say that simply doing 10 minutes of resistance training a week is enough to help maintain your muscle, it just blew my mind because I was born in the 80s, in 1980, in fact. And that was when there was the whole low fat craze and cardio craze. I remember doing exercise workouts with my mom to Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons. And I just thought cardio was what you did. And I was a ballet dancer. And so I did think about my weight a good bit and wanted to be thin. I didn't want to get bulky. And so the thought of weight training and resistance training never entered my mind, honestly, until about the last couple of years as I hit my 40s and things started to change. And I realized that slowly over the past decade, from not really focusing on my health, I had gained about 10 pounds. And it happened so slowly, I didn't even really realize it. And most of my clothes still fit, they were just a little bit tighter. And what I realized is I don't want to gain 10 pounds every decade of my life. And I realized that I couldn't eat and drink the way I used to. And also that just cardio and restricting my calories was not the secret, was not the answer. And so that's when I started really thinking about what does it take to lose this weight? And more importantly than really me losing the weight was just how do I have a healthy body free from injury, where I am not winded after running after my children and where I can have longevity. Like those are my goals personally. But I know that there are a lot of people out there struggling with other goals. Maybe you have noticed that you've always been thin, but all of a sudden you are gaining weight around your midsection. Or you're someone who does have some weight to lose that also needs to build up muscle. So such an important topic and something that there is just like in skincare and skin health, there are a lot of people putting information out there and it's not always good. So I love how Dr. Ali really broke it down. There are really three components to maintaining a healthy body. Number one is mindset. And too often I think we forget this or it's sort of last. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Think positive or, say some affirmations, right? But mindset is key. And I love how Dr. Ali says her slogan is do the next best thing. That so often we're so all or nothing. I'm never going to eat carbs. I'm never going to eat processed sugar. I'm never going to drink again. And then when we screw up or we have a cookie or we have 5 cookies, we feel like all is lost. And we just like, screw it. I'm just going to eat the whole thing or drink the whole bottle of wine, or I'm just going to give up on my diet this weekend, right? And it's this all or none mentality that really messes with us. So I love how she says, just do the next best thing, make the next best choice. So what? You've eaten 10 Oreos. stop at 10, don't eat 11, don't eat the whole box, right? It's okay. Just don't do it again. Make the next best choice. And mindset's huge. And she also talks about living in the gray zone that so often we're black or white. This food is bad. This is a never eat. And we feel like we're restricting ourselves and we're not enjoying life or living life. And she says that in her house, and same thing in my house, there is no food that is forbidden. There is no hard stop on desserts or never drinking wine, but we make sure that we are doing all the other good things and that it's really sort of a special treat. If I'm personally going to have a dessert, it is going to be a decadent piece of cake that looks really yummy and really well made. It's not going to be a Snickers bar from a vending machine. That works for me personally because I feel like I'm not restricting myself. I still get to eat something yummy and delicious, but I'm not going to waste those calories on kind of junky, crappy food. I'd rather eat something really delicious and decadent personally. Beyond mindset, the next thing is diet. There's a saying, right? You can't outrun a bad diet. Diet is so important. It's important for your skin health. It's important for everything and how you feel, your mental health, right? What you eat really, really matters. You are what you eat, right? And it can get super, super overwhelming on what to do. But Dr. Ali really breaks it down that protein first, focus on protein, especially if you are a middle aged woman like myself, right? But protein matters. Aim for about 90 grams if you're a woman, 120 grams if you are a man. And she sort of references that a 4-ounce piece of meat is about the size and thickness of your palm. That's about 4 ounces to give you reference. And if you are vegetarian or don't eat meat products or certain meat, you may need to be a little more cognizant about how you are getting that protein. But protein first, aim for about 30 grams with each meal. 90 grams total if you're a woman, 120 grams if you are a man. The second thing is to be mindful about your sugar intake. And this is especially important for processed foods, that refined sugar, high glycemic index. You want to look at the labels. This is something I really never did before. I just looked at calories and maybe fat, but I now really am looking at sugar more than anything. There's so much sugar in the food we eat in our Western culture here in the US. Stuff you don't even think would have sugar in it is loaded with sugar. That Starbucks drink that's delicious, loaded with sugar. It's really crazy. I feel like once I see the amount of sugar in something, I just can't eat it. Or I have to really, really, really want it because it's crazy how high it is. And Dr. Ali really recommends sticking to 40 grams or less, and even about 20 grams if you're someone who struggles with insulin resistance. And I'll tell you what, it's not hard to hit that in one item, like one snack food. But being cognizant of the amount of sugar you're eating is huge. And one thing I've noticed by looking at that is actually how much better I feel. I don't get those like spikes in my blood sugar from eating those high sugary foods. So protein first, then look at the sugars, and then focus on fiber. Another thing we don't get enough of in general here in the US with the diet that we eat. But fiber is super, super important for our overall health, our gut health, and how you feel. So making sure you're eating vegetables and focusing on berries and fruits that have a lot of dietary fiber. This is key. So fruits are not bad, by the way, right? A lot of times people worry about eating fruits, but especially things like berries, lots of antioxidants. And some fruits do have more sugar. So if you are insulin resistant, you may want to talk to your doctor about that. But in general, berries are great source of fiber as well. So focusing on those three things with your diet is key, and less so about actual calorie counting. And definitely discuss this with your doctor. If you are someone who's trying to lose weight, who is diabetic or has some underlying health concerns, you do want to talk with your doctor. But these are just sort of like three basic things for someone to focus on: maximizing protein, minimizing sugar, and maximizing your dietary fiber intake. The third piece to optimal health is exercise. And Dr. Ali is really just reasonable about this. Her number one thing is walking, getting steps in. You don't have to go do cardio. You don't have to go run unless you want to. If you enjoy, like I enjoy getting on the Peloton and doing a spin class. To me, I feel like I'm at a club, I'm dancing, I'm having fun, I'm getting my heart rate up. It feels good. I get that endorphin release. But you don't need to go run 10 miles or do crazy cardio unless you are just doing it for fun and you like it for most people. But taking enough steps is key. Really aim for at least 5,000 a day. I was really shocked that I wasn't even hitting 5,000 a day on most days, even though I am on my feet all day, but I am a lot of times standing. I'm not necessarily walking long distances. I'm just bouncing from room to room to room. And I don't even have a desk job, right? And I'm still have to actively try to get 5,000 steps in. So that's just something I think that's pretty easy for most people to just check on your phone, get an app that can show you how many steps you're taking and really aim for minimum 5,000. But even if you are really wanting optimal health, even 10,000 is better. And then resistance training. And again, this is so important really for everyone. At the age of about 30 onward, we stop building muscle unless we are actively trying. And for some people, building muscle is the goal. For others, it's just maintaining. But you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go to the gym and lift 100 pounds if you don't want to, right? Even resistance training is just simply moving your muscle against some sort of resistance. And that could be even certain yoga classes or Pilates. I like to do this thing called Legree or some weights, some free weights with my Peloton app, right? It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be lengthy. 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes if you really want to optimize, and then 30 minutes if you really want to build that muscle, really work on building that muscle. So again, it's not a huge time commitment. I think for most people, 10 minutes is really reasonable, even 20 minutes, right, to fit into our schedule to get that resistance training and to really help us improve our muscles. And maintaining your muscles is something that, of course, the earlier you start, the better. But even if you're in your 70s or 80s, you can start doing this and you can do it in a chair. You can modify for whatever limitations or restrictions you have with your own body. It's really refreshing to hear Dr. Allie's perspective. She's all about simplicity and consistency, which if you are a follower of the Skin Reel, you know that that is sort of my jam as well, that it is simple. It can be simple. It should be simple, but it's got to be consistent and make sure that you're working smarter and not harder. That is really how you're going to have optimal health at every decade of your life. If you want to hear the full episode, be sure to check it out here, and I will see you next week.